Hi folks, welcome to another episode of 4x4 Viewfinder. Today we're going to be putting this guy into this guy. Yes folks, we're installing a Towbar into a Toyota Fortuner. Now, first things first, once you get it, if you're going to be installing it yourself, make sure that there's no damage to it or that it hasn't been an accident. You'll see that if it was dirty, you clean it up, you make sure, and you'll see if there's bends or cracks in the paintwork or stuff like that. Even here on the foot pieces where it connects onto the vehicle, make sure that there's no damage from an accident. Otherwise, if you're going to be towing something important behind the vehicle and this thing fails, it's not going to be good. Alright, so after you've done that, next sequence of events, make sure you've got all your bolts and nuts and fittings. First, you're going to be removing your spare wheel. If you've got it on, you're going to have to remove it in order to put this guy on easily. You can try and put it on with the spare wheel on, but you're going to make a half an hour job a 3-hour job. Right? I'll run you through the process of removing the spare wheel as well. Then from there, you're going to be prepping your bolts and nuts to install this guy. Copper slip, you don't have to do that. I like to do that, not because I don't want the materials or the Towbar to bind to the chassis, but I do it because of rust. Rust is an issue, especially if you're going to be living close to the ocean or you're going to be driving into water and stuff like that. You put some copper slip on the surfaces that are going to be connecting to each other, and that just prevents all that hassle. So, you know, and also should you eventually want to remove it or check it, then it'll come loose properly and easily, and you won't cause any damage to anything. Alright, and then folks, yeah, that's basically that. Let's get into it. But folks, next step is to remove your spare wheel. You're going to be removing it through this little hole right from here. Now, in the back of your vehicle here on the left hand side panel, you will find your toolbox and your toilet paper, and you'll also find this bag. This should contain some of your tools and stuff, your wheel spanner and so on. And most importantly for our purposes, it contains these guys. Alright, now these guys come with a star screw that you can use. I took this because it's easier to tighten by hand, and then you won't need a star screwdriver to put these guys together. Alright, so simple enough. Then the next one. Right, now folks, there is a knuckle that sits like this. You're going to basically stick this thing in here like that and try and turn it. It is a bit fiddly to try and do it if you haven't done it before, but you know what, if you've done it once, from there on it just becomes easier. There we go. You'll feel it slip in. Right, so now you adjust this and you just turn anti-clockwise. Right folks, as you can see, there's that guy. Basically, you're just going to be lifting up the centerpiece through the hole like that, and you can put it out your way somewhere. Right folks, we're under the car. and I'm going to show you a couple of things to have a look at. Right, so this guy here, this is the right hand side of the vehicle. This guy here must come off, and these bolts will loosen. Now your tow bar will be attaching to 1, 2, 3, 4. Those 4 it will be attached to. We're going to see now when we remove these if they are long enough to run through both this plate and the mounting bracket for the tow bar. On the other side, you're going to have that guy. Now keep in mind that this guy here will probably not be able to fit on with the bumper after the tow bar, so we'll have a look at that and see what happens. Alright, then now's a good time to inspect what your hoist for your spare wheel looks like. Look, you can see this has been slightly damaged because of over tightening. Right, you just need to pull this guy up until it reaches, and then like a quarter turn. That's more than what you need. You don't need to tighten it any more than that. Right, and then here is where you can see where the wheels chafe, where the tire chafes. Now I'll be giving you a tip soon when we get to it with the spare wheel, something I do to prolong the lifespan of the spare wheel. But yeah, let's start attaching this on and see what things look like. Right folks, so this is basically what you need. You don't need a little electronic wrench, but it makes things a lot easier. You'll need a 19 socket and a 24 socket. You'll need a torque wrench, and then your bolts for your towage, and a 24 spanner. That's basically that. And then from there we're going to start installing, and then I'll show you the rest outside. Right folks, if you're going to be removing the old ones, the head on these is a 17. Alright, so there we go. Also remember, if you're working overhead, there's always some dust and stones and everything. Don't put your head directly below the place you're working. Sit at an angle and then have the stuff fall out around you, not on top of you, like what I'm doing now. Here we go. This one. Simple like that. Now have a look here. Look how rusted that material is. It's not good. So we're going to clean that up nicely with some degreaser, and take the drill and shave that off, spray paint it nicely, wait for it to dry, and then we're going to put the tow bar on over that with some copper slip, just to make sure everything is sharp. Now, got the paste, same thing this side. We're just going to remove that little bolt, and then we'll start with the assembly. Good times when you're working on your 4x4. Right folks, so let's have a look. These are the attachments that came off. Look at that rust. Now I'm pretty sure when this was put on, this was not bare metal. Now that's what happens over time to a vehicle. You attach these things together, water or moisture gets in between there and just starts the rust process. You want to prevent that. That's why I put copper slip up. I clean it up nicely, put it back with some copper slip, and Bob's your uncle. No rust, no worries. And rust is a killer of a 4x4. So yeah, if you want some longevity out of your 4x4, better take care of it. Right folks, so first up we're going to be attaching this guy, the lift itself, onto here. There's a spacer that I spray painted, and to make it look nice again. and the backing plate for the lights for the trailer and all that stuff. Alright, so first things first, we're going to treat this like everything else. We're going to put some copper slip on here before we attach this, like so and like that, with the hitch on the end. There'll be copper slip in between all of them, and then we're going to be attaching using the bolts. And what I'm going to do is, these are lock nuts, as you can see, but for safety I'm going to put some lock nut liquid in there as well, just to make double sure this stuff doesn't come loose, because it happens so easily, you don't realize it, you're busy towing, next move your towing hitch breaks off. So yeah, so how to be safe, and let's get into that. Right folks, she's attached. Off camera, I put this plate on, I forgot about it. Just loosened here, put this on. You can't put it in between because of the spacer and the way these things are put together. You can't, they'll be sitting like this, your hitch and your spacer and your tow bar part. So this must come right at the back, please remember that. Don't put it here in front as well, because it's going to get in the way of when you turn with your trailer and all that stuff. So this guy must be right at the back, attached here. Right. You must also check your wiring at the bottom. Make sure that, I've seen some of these guys on the left hand side and on the right hand side, but just make sure when you put yours on your wiring harness, your connector, on which side it is, just to make the connecting up of the wiring for your trailer connector, that it sits on the right hand side. Right. So now just going to turn this guy around, and we're going to start the process. We're going to start the process of just putting copper slip on the surfaces here. I'm going to use quite a lot. I'm going to put it on very thick, so I don't have to put it on the bottom of the trailer as well, because on the back of the vehicle as well, because that's going to be a hell of a mission. So I'd rather put it on thick here, so then when I get there, I can just connect the bolts. So what I'm going to do is, you'll see there's 4 holes for 4 bolts. I'm going to take 2 on one side, 2 on the other side. My wife is going to help me. We're going to sit and bench press this thing up to the bottom. Then we're going to attach first on the two center holes, these 2 center holes. We're going to attach them first, just so it settles and hangs there. Then we're going to put in the rest of the bolts, and then what we're going to do is, we're going to by hand press the tow bar up and tighten it as far as we can possibly tighten it, on all 4 bolts on both sides, right? Because if you're going to use your electrical wrench and you're going to tighten it, yes, it'll make the job much easier, but you don't know what damage you're causing to either the bolt or the threading on the inside of the suspension. So I'd rather be safe, screw it in all the way by hand. If you can't and it becomes tight, you can use your electronic wrench, but then keep pushing it up so it's flush against the bottom of the chassis, and then tighten it. But don't tighten it all the way, just tighten it so it starts kicking once, 3 or 4 times. Then you do the rest of the bolts. You do the outside one, inner one, other inner one. The same on both sides. And when they're settled, when they're right, then you go and you tighten them from the one side, starting from the front of the vehicle. You tighten them torque-wise to 150 Newton meters to the front. I'm not 100% sure on the 150 Newton meters. I've read up, and most people say 150 Newton meters is sufficient. If I am wrong, please let me know in the comments below, so that I'm sure that I've tightened it to the right settings. They said anywhere between 150 and 200 Newton meters. I've turned 150 Newton meters now to tie the hitch on, and that was quite a task. So I'm thinking, with a power bar and that stuff, you can tighten it almost as tight as you can physically do it. depends on whether you're gymming and how big you are and how strong you are and all that stuff, but yeah, that should reasonably do the job. But preferably use a torque wrench and torque it to the right settings. You don't want hassles, and because you're doing this yourself, if something happens with either your trailer and stuff like that, and insurance finds out that you did this yourself and you aren't a qualified technician, as it were, or that you probably don't have YouTube at home or internet at home where you can research and find out the information on this yourself, they will probably not pay for the damages. So make sure you've torqued it so that if something happens, God forbid, and it does happen, you'll know that it's not because of this, not because of your handiwork, because then this will never go anywhere. So remember that in the future with any job that you do. There are torque settings and settings for everything. Any engineering thing that you'll be working on will have torque settings or certain way of attaching something that has to go on the right way. And if you do it the wrong way, things will, if you're lucky, nothing happens. But in the event that something bad does happen, you know that it was either your fault or it wasn't. So yeah, rather be safe. Right, so let me get into it. What I'm going to do is, one thing before I forget. You get this little spacer with as well, right? This spacer, when you've put this denoiser up, goes on the top side here. So I'm going to put, let me just show you. This spacer goes up here on the top side, like this, like that, and the bolts come through to the bottom. So I'm going to put copper slip, a lot of copper slip on here, and I put a lot of copper slip on the top, and then this guy goes onto here, and then the bolts go through the bottom, and then that tightens it up. Right, so don't forget about this guy. Right folks, so this is what it should look like when you finish putting copper slip on. Don't be too scared to put on too much. The more the better. Put it on both sides, on both surfaces. Right, then lastly, your nuts and bolts that you'll be using. Together for you. Alright, so all your nuts and bolts, put some thread locker. I use Win's one, this bloody works. You put this on a bolt, you need some industrial type machine to get it loose. So that's why I don't always use it so much just for anything, because that stuff sticks. So like something on this, that's perfect, because that will definitely not come off. But the same with your bolts, you're going to put some thread lock on there just to make sure that it does not, how can I say, come loose. Right. Okay folks, now it's the big job of attaching this whole setup. So yeah, see you on the flip side. Alright folks, so yeah, That's what it looks like. I've attached the outer one first. I said I'd want to do the inside ones, but it seemed like a better idea because this thing is very front heavy. Because of this, it tends to want to dip, so attaching it there is like the center point, the balance point of it, so that holds it there. As you probably noticed, we first turned it in by hand to feel that the thread is taking, and then you take the electronic wrench and then you put it in. Don't tighten it all the way because you need to make sure that these holes align first. So you need to screw in all the bolts first and then do the sequence of tightening it down. And yeah, folks, then when that is done, things are done. Then you've got your towing hitch attached. So yeah, let me carry on and then you see what I do. Right folks, another little tip I can give you. When you place your tire underneath your vehicle, deflated, you need to have a compressor with you at all times in any vehicle that you have. I've got two vehicles, one of them is definitely not a 4x4 and I have a compressor inside. You don't know what situations may arise, and to have a compressor can quickly pump up the wheel and sort you out. That helps a lot. And to give some lifetime to your spare tire, leave it deflated, not fully deflated, but not up to pressure, right? So let's say 1 bar or even less than that, 0.8 of a bar. You keep it deflated like that, that puts less strain on the tire and the sidewalls and all that stuff, because you don't know when you're going to need this. Now this tire is brand spanking new, and anytime in the next 5 years I should be fine using this tire if I keep it slightly deflated. If I keep it fully deflated and I put it on, chances are that within 2 years something might happen. I get a blowout on this tire when I get a flat wheel on one of the main tires. So guys, bear that in mind. So basically all we're going to do is, with my trusty handmade tool, remove the valve. Check this guy as well. Just a couple of seconds is all you need, or maybe we can do a little bit more. You should be able to depress the sidewall pretty easily and leave it sufficient air pressure so as not to let dust and stuff accumulate on the inside here and damage or get in between the bead and the rim. but also not more than is needed to prolong the lifetime of your vehicle. Dust cap, always on your spare wheel put the dust cap, because you don't know when you're going to be using this. If you get sand and dust and that stuff stuck in here, there's another thing you have to sort out, and perhaps you're stuck in the middle of a very dangerous area and you want to be able to change the wheel quickly. If you need to still pump up the tire with dust and sand in here, it's going to just make your life difficult. Alright, so let's put this guy back. Alright folks, so what you need to put your spare wheel back is this dinosaur rod, this guy, tire spanner. We're going to put the wheel underneath, making sure that the rim side is facing upward. The pretty side, let's put it like that. You shove it in underneath here, you put the little hook in, and you start turning it up. I'll show you how. Right. Doesn't need to completely be underneath. Makes things easier. Alright folks, so on the inside there, your little base plate that pulls the wheel up from the bottom has a little pipiki sticking out like that. Line that little pipiki up with one of the holes for the wheel nuts. Line it up with that, and then once you put it in, you'll see that it hooks there. Then you sort it, and then from there you just lift the wheel up. Same procedure as removing the wheel. There we go, simple as that. And then we just start turning clockwise to get this guy going up. There we go. Just make sure before you lift it that last bit to make sure that it's not catching on the side of the towage that you've just put on. Just check, make sure. Seated. Out. Let this nicely in. There we go. Right, folks. There's one way of doing it. There we go. Well, that was harder than it needed to be. Alright. And that's that, folks. We just assembled our towage. Put it in. We've done some testing. There's no clicks and scratches and bangs and stuff. It sits the way it's supposed to. And yeah, now all you have to do is pack away your tools and everything, and then take it for a test. So yeah, folks, thanks for joining us in this episode. It's wonderful having you here, and I hope I could have helped you squared away with putting on your own towage. It's not that hard, it's not that difficult, it's really simple. It's 8 bolts either side. You apply some simple engineering basics with your copper slip and your tightening of your bolts and stuff. And Bob's your uncle. So yeah, until next time folks, happy 4x4ing.